Welcome back to Howson IRL. Today we are going to be camping out in the woods, army style. This looks like a nice little spot. Rough, last few hundred metres at least. Anyway, can't catch my breath. If you're gonna camp army style, you gotta eat army style. Ills are a bastard. Now for me, I'm still in the mindset, obviously, of camping is something that you do in the military. Mostly, it's a military sort of inspired activity. I camp with my family, but in my head I don't actually treat it like camping. I don't know what I treat it as, but it doesn't smell like camping the same way this does, where I'm carrying my sleeping bag, my food, my water and my shelter all on my back. Now I need to transition from this military style of camping where you're really roughing it. The lads in the army will call it Poncho or a basha. Civvies call it a bivvy or a tarp. Well, that's what I'm doing. It's a wild camp under a tarp, under a poncho, and it's camouflage because the aim, a little bit like when you're in the military, is to not be seen. Just had to stop for a break. Absolutely hanging out. I've got a hell of a view in front of me, and that there is the woodline that I'm going to. Ills are a bastard. That's about a 300 metre incline over probably a K and a half, 2K. That last little bit was sharp. So I'm trying to get my heart rate back underneath about 180 for the last little push. It's right there, so we've got loads of daylight, plenty of time to set up camp, plenty of chances to have a scope around and see what else is around us. Last little push. I've got 2 open fields and then the wood block at the top. There we go. Okay, made it to the wood block. That was rough. Rough, last few hundred metres at least. Anyway, can't catch my breath. Like I said before, same principles as being in the military with a little bit of wild camping. Don't really want to be on the edge where people are walking past with the dogs, so you need a little bit of penetration. Beyond the first line of trees or so, not really seeing too much. So I reckon a couple of metres past the first line of trees, we'll get in there nice and easy and no one will know we're there. This looks like a nice little spot. You see the furrows for the trees. There's a little bit of slightly higher ground in the middle because it's all the pines off these trees. It's actually really soft. We've ID'd a spot that we think would be quite good. Now it's time to get out our poncho, our basha, our tarp, our bivvy, whatever you're going to call it. I'm going to call it a poncho because that's what I called it most. And as I said on the way in, what I have got is I have got a multicam poncho. Luckily that'll look quite decent in here. It might be a little on the light side, but I might have a secret weapon to obscure me from cover at the front because I can just about see the road there. If I'm loud, I might draw somebody's eye, so we're not going to do that. And there's a couple of different ways that you can set up your poncho. The most popular one in the military was either the A-frame or the one with a sloping back, really, so propped up at the front, facing the enemy, and then sloping towards the back in your harbour area. Now on my poncho, I have these little bags, and inside these little bags is something called jungle nuts. And I'll talk about them in a sec. The first thing that we have to do is we have to find the centre seam, because we always start in the middle. Centre seam is this, you can tell because it's got these handles on it and it runs down the centre. You also have seams that are on the edge, but you'll tell that the ones on the edge because there won't be anything on the other side of it. Okay, so as you can see, it isn't going to manage to take us all the way to the other ones over there, but fear not, because I have these extendable bivvy poles, and what these bivvy poles are going to do is give us the ability to, you can pitch up anywhere actually with these. You can pitch up when there is no trees around you, which is quite handy to have in some of the locations you find yourself in. But this one will allow us to be able to put this poncho up using a tree at one side and then a bivvy pole at the front end. So once we get our ridge line secure like that, we'll take our tent poles and we're going to stake this out and brace it this way, so it's got a little bit of strength coming back this way. Then we'll start pegging out all the sides when we're done. These are jungle knots. They are tied to the end of the poncho. There's a little bag for them, And as you'll see, it's just paracord with a pair of knots in every now and then. And then how we use the jungle knots is we go around the tree, pass it back round through and into itself like that, and it's tight. Now that is not tight, as you can see, it's just fell. So what we want to do, pull a bit more around like that, get it so we're nice and taut like that. And you don't have to just use the toggle, the knots themselves will hold like that. So they'll just hold nice and tight. This is a far better way than having, you know, noisy bungees and stuff like that. And then obviously to let it go, all we do is that and release it. Okay, here we go. So here's my A-frame. It's kind of got a bit of a flat roof. It slopes down, but it does look flat from where we're standing here. And then it slopes down on the back, tied to a tree on that end, and we are staked in on that end. Really difficult staking everything in because it must be like 5 or 6 inches of all of this sort of pines, and it's just impossible to get down to the floor. So I'll have to stake it into the trees and use the poles at one end and get around the trees on this end. But a little bit of space here, nice little bit of admin area where I can stand up. That is the way in. You can see it quite clearly now we're in here. You're gonna struggle to see me. And here's how we look from the back with my Bergen. Let's get the sleep system out, and I think we should get a brew on. Definitely earned it. Right then, let's get out our stuff. So sleep system wise, I'll show you what's in the bag. So I've got a snug pack sleep mat. This, it's in a snug pack bag, but it's through dark, bit of warm kit, waterproofed. We have the jet boil, so we can get a brew and some scoff on. And then this is the sleep bag. I've gone with a bit of a big one because it's forecast snow this weekend, even though it's quite warm now and I've only got a t-shirt and a waterproof on. I'd rather have a sleeping bag too warm than too cold. So waterproof outer bag always, and then inside that is, it's a multi-cam bivvy bag on the outside to protect it. So I'll get the sleep mat out and then we'll get this out. Okay, so we have our inflatable mat out. It's only a thin one, but it does the job, and it's only half body size as well, so it packs up nice and small. So there you go. This is military style camping. Bivvy and tarp. Absolutely ridiculous amount of weight I've had to carry in, like 50 pound. I'm going to definitely be looking into the ultralight stuff because it's got to be better than this. But yeah, bit of an insertion tab, and then this is it now. So this is how we would sleep out on exercise. Very, very simplistic way of doing it. And then yeah, we'll get some scoff on, admin ourselves. I'll probably get an early night. Gonna camp army style. You gotta eat army style. So I've got hot chocolate, which is always good. I don't think you can mess hot chocolate up, can you? I think it's red hot as well, actually. And I'm on this chicken curry, rice and potatoes. I'm going to be honest with you, it's banging. I like camping like this. To me, it's very peaceful, and it feels very natural to me. I'm using my warm kit as a pillow. It's perfect for it in a waterproof bag. You can get a little bit of air in there, and it's almost like a blow-up kind of pillow. Sleeping bag's very comfy. As I said, we are fully waterproofed as well, and that's really important because you really don't want to get your sleeping bag wet. You have it as a waterproof bag while you're sleeping in case you have any rain blown in by the wind, and you have it in a waterproof bag inside the Bergen as well, because a wet sleeping bag is, honestly, it's disastrous. It is the worst thing ever. I've had it happen a couple of times on exercise and it's just miserable. It's just absolutely miserable, and you're just thinking, I'd just get me home. This is horrendous. There are a few things that are different, obviously, from if we was doing this in the military. I wouldn't just be sleeping on top of the ground like this. I would be digging in and making a shell scrape for me and my battle buddy, and we would share half of this poncho each, so we would be nice and tight, two of us in here. I'm not digging a shell scrape, and I've also done something a little bit cheeky as well, which I definitely wouldn't have got away with doing in the military. But it's something that I never want to go back to doing ever again, and that is sleeping inside a sleeping bag with your boots on. So my boots are there, and my feet can wriggle around in peace. It's super bright at the moment. Apparently sunset's in 9 minutes, so I'm just trying to get my head down. It is an early night. It's first week of April, so sunset is around about 10 to 8, so it's a little bit too early really, but I don't have phone signal, and this is when I can actually genuinely switch off, so I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to switch off. I might even poke my head out of here in a little bit and see if I can see the stars, but I also believe we are forecast rain for just after nightfall, so it'll probably be a night listening to the rain hitting the outside of the tarp for me. Right then, one totally essential piece of kit when you are doing military stuff for sure, but even if you're just doing civilian sort of backpacking, is a really good rucksack. Now for doing military stuff, you need a good Bergen, and for me, there are no better Bergens on the market than this, which is the JJ's Beast Bergen. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but if you're serving military or you're doing anything that's a little bit more rugged like that, or carrying any sort of weight for any length of time, this is the one that you need. For what we've just done, and the sort of stuff that you'd be doing on exercise quite often, where you'd be, you know, sleeping out in harbour areas and that sort of stuff, this is just set up to make your life easier. It doesn't have big rocket pouches on the side, so you're not going to snag through stuff, so you can get yourself through quite a slim profile in between trees and foliage, so you're not going to be dragging it everywhere, because the issue Bergen with the big rocket pouches on the side, it just makes you a massive silhouette. This is a little bit slimmer. It comes out wider because you're still carrying the same amount of stuff, but at least it keeps it a little bit narrower. I use these sort of mesh pouches on the side to stick my camelback in, to put my poles in. On this side, I've added a couple of extra pouches. I have my brew kit in one, I have my warm kit in this one, and I have my first aid kit in the bottom on this one. I have water. This is a cam net in this one, and this one has just got some camera stuff in here as well. So I use all of these on the front. This is the one that I like to use the most with getting the poncho in and out. It's a bit bigger than it needs to be for a poncho, but I think that helps you get it in and out nice and quickly. You've got a shitload of molly on the top. You've also got a really great pouch that you can access stuff into here, and then you've even got some mesh separators on the inside, so you can do your different, you know, dirty and clean laundry and stuff like that if you need to. But the best thing about this is this. So British Bergens generally don't have this sort of polymer frame. It's a big American thing. But you've got this pad at the bottom, which just sits nicely on the back of your, sort of around your kidneys, and it keeps the weight off you, and big fat straps to take care of the weight, so you're not really getting it cutting into your shoulders, over your chest when you're out there tabbing with it. This is a great Bergen, and it really does help the weight. It's not going to make it any lighter, but it certainly makes it easier to carry. One thing before I go, when you are wild camping, an extremely important part of wild camping is leave no trace. That's the most important part. Enjoy yourself, have a good time, try and make it look like you were never there. Right, let's go.